In this video, I'm going to be showing you 5 incredible card tricks done using sleight of hand and which can never be caught on any slow motion camera. So let's get started. The first trick is pretty simple. All you're doing is just showing one card to the spectator, then snapping your fingers and the card actually changes to a different one. Now this can never be caught on a slow motion camera because here what you're doing is basically a double lift. You're taking 2 cards as one, so the spectator thinks that the top card is this one, but this is actually the second card. And then what you do is basically turn this card over onto the top of the deck, snap your finger, and the next time you take the card, you're taking just only one card, which when you turn it over, it looks like that the card has actually changed. But the other card is still onto the top of the deck because the back design has camouflaged with the back of the rest of the cards in the deck. So basically that's the first trick, and that is very easy to do because it happens under the cover of the playing cards back design, and it is pretty deceptive because here there are no fast movements, only just the double lift. Moving on to the second one, which is a little bit more visual because here the card actually stays face up, and all you do is basically you cover up the card and then you wave your hand over it. The card actually changes just like that. This is called the Erdnase change. I have an in-depth tutorial for it, so here I'm going to just give you an overview or a brief explanation. So all you're doing over here is basically you're taking 2 cards as one, you're turning 2 cards as one, that is you're doing a double lift or a double turnover, and then what you're doing is basically you're taking this card and then you are doing the Erdnase change. This is the variation that I did. The actual one, what you're going to do is basically you're going to keep these 2 cards together after turning them. You're going to keep them face up. Then what you're doing is basically with these fingertips you're pushing the top card towards the outside, which exposes this card. Then you're using this part of your hand to pull this card out and then gliding it over the other fingers and then placing it onto the top of the card that was previously on the top. So basically that way the other card gets hidden under the bottom of the card that was visible, and that's how the card change takes place, and that's the Erdnase change, and it is more visual and it can never be caught on camera because it is happening right under the cover of your hand, but even though the card is still face up. And you can also do this in slow motion because this is all happening under cover. Coming to the third one, it is more visual than the others because here you have only one card and all you need to do is basically you just move your hand over the card and the card actually changes. So that's how the third change looks like, and it's more visual because here it looks like you're not covering the entire card, but while you're doing it you're actually covering up the entire card, which is a visual illusion of not covering the entire card. So basically I might be confusing you, but anyways, this is one of the card changing moves and I might have a tutorial on it, but I cannot remember that because I cannot really remember the name of this move. So if you remember the name of this move, just make sure you post that in the comments so that I can verify that if I have a tutorial or not. If I don't have a tutorial, I'll definitely make an in-depth tutorial on it, and if I have a tutorial, I'll just link you to that one. So basically over here I'm going to just show you the overview of what this trick looks like or how this move actually works. So you have these 2 cards together squared up just like that, and you hold these cards by the opposite diagonal corners, which keeps these 2 cards together in place and they don't separate. Now while you're moving your body from this side to this side, you're also moving your wrist just like that, and when you're doing that you're using the other fingers just to strip that card out. And since this is also an angle sensitive one, you're turning your body this side, and while doing that, while you're stripping the card out, all you're doing is basically you're placing this card's corner over here and under the cover of the tenkai palm, and then from here all you're doing is you're using your thumb while you're going downwards to push this card just like that, and these fingers actually square the other side of the card with the bottom card. So that's how you are actually going to do this move. So let me show you an exposed view because this is what happens, but with the right angle you can actually make it look like more visual just like that, and it can never be caught on slow motion camera. Even though it looks like that the cards are still visible while the change is happening, but it is actually not visible. when the hand is moving down, the card is changing only in that part, so it is still happening undercover. So that was the third trick. The fourth one is more of a card control than a standalone trick, but you can use it as a standalone trick. So here I spread the cards, the spectator selects one playing card, the Jack of Spades, which goes inside the center. And as you can see, if I turn this deck over, the card is not on the bottom because it's in the center. But if I snap my fingers, the card should jump to the top. Now it can also be done with a face-up card. Just leave the card face up in the center of the deck, turn the deck over, and as you can see that card is not onto the bottom, but it has actually traveled to the top of the deck. So basically that is known as the turnover pass, and it is the variation of the Herrmann pass. I have an in-depth tutorial on it, so I'm just going to show you an overview of how this trick works or how this control works. So basically the Herrmann pass, you take the bottom packet and you push it to the top and you drop it over there. Here you're just doing the opposite. After the spectator selects a playing card, from that part you're just separating the bottom packet, and then as soon as you come over here, you're taking the bottom packet and keeping it over here, but you're doing it at an angle like this, so this bottom packet stays right over here. And then with the cover of this hand, all you're doing is basically dropping these cards face up over here, so it looks like that you're turning the deck over. Where you are actually doing is basically this, but from this angle it looks like that you are actually turning the deck over. And when that happens, the bottom packet automatically moves to the top of the deck. So that's how this card control works. And if you want to get into the in-depth tutorial of it, the link to that tutorial will be in the description. The fifth one, or the last one, is my absolute favorite, because here it is also another card control, and here the spectator selects one of the playing cards. For example, this one, the Jack of Diamonds. All I'm doing is basically I'm keeping their card right over there where they are, and then I'm just going to square the deck of cards. So you can see their card, which is right here. I'm sticking it out, and then what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to push it in very slowly, no fast movements, and after that I'm going to snap my fingers, and you can see that card has actually traveled to the bottom of the deck, and there are no duplicate cards of this card. So basically that's the call control, and again I have an in-depth tutorial for it, which I will link you in the description, so you can go and check that out. And here I'm just going to give you a little bit of brief what you're doing. So basically you're spreading the deck of cards just like that. When the spectator selects one card, you actually square this card with the previous card just like that while you're showing it to the spectator. And then while you're turning this hand downwards, all you're doing is with these fingers you're pulling this card backwards, and with the other hand's thumb you're actually pushing out the top card, which is the card that you have squared it with, that is the previous card. So basically these movements happen at the same time, and all you're going to do is basically push this card up, which is going to create a gap between these two cards, and in this gap all you're doing is you're basically sliding the rest of the cards that are left. Now as soon as you square the deck of cards, the spectators, since they cannot see the face of this card, they're still going to think that this is their card, because that's the illusion you have created. And over here their card is already on the bottom. You just need to push this card slowly in and snap your finger, turn the deck over, their card will be on the bottom of the deck. And this is one of the tricks, one of the most visual tricks that can never be caught on any slow motion camera, because this happens under the cover of the cards. So with this, the 5 incredible card tricks which can never be caught on any slow motion camera is done, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So make sure you leave a thumbs up, and if you're new here, just make sure you subscribe so that you can have more amazing videos like this. So thank you for watching, and peace.